Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passion World Talk Radio Network, a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network LLC. Educate, enlighten, entertain, and let's not, forget mindfulness. On today's episode, we are going to discuss the dangerous Nazi legend behind our current administration's ruthless grab for power. It has been said in forward.com by Terence Petty that the current administration has created an Americanized version of Adolf Hitler's stab in the back's lie. I cannot pronounce the German and I won't even try. When Adolf Hitler failed in the 1930s, 1920s actually, 1923, the Bear Hall pushed in Munich. Hitler was nasty against what he called the November criminals, Marxists and Jews, who he claimed were responsible for Imperial Germany's defeat in November of 1918, which of course would have been World War I. Research was based on a conspiracy theory concocted by Germany's losing generals and conservative politicians, and he ultimately embraced by much of the German population who couldn't face the truth about themselves and their. In Germany, the myth was perpetuated, and the English translation is stab in the back legend. Fast forward to 2025, and our current administration has created an Americanized version of stabbed in the back legend. A myth that our country was led to ruination by Biden and the Democrats, prosecutors who go after this current administration, judges who rule against him, non-MAGA news media, practitioners of wokeism, and elite universities, among others. He sometimes lumps them all together to those who oppose them as communists. Red baiting was good enough for McCarthy, so why not for this president? All of this is utter nonsense, but the American stab in the back lies at the core of this administration's assaults on our democracy. To understand how Hitler's legend can help lead a nation to catastrophe, let's examine Hitler's deploying the stab in the back legend to get Germans to buy into his contention that only he could overcome the economic, political, and social instability that rocked the final years of Germany's first democracy, the Weimar Republic. Outside of Hitler hating the Jews, there seems to have been little else that got him more worked up on Germany's defeat in World War I. In fact, Hitler saw the connection. After Germany signed the armistice on November 11th, 1918, his country was besieged by runaway inflation. Fact check. Biden left us with a great economy. The only inflation we're getting is from the ones that we're getting from the current administration and its tariffs, quote unquote, by the host. Also, economic conditions began to improve around 1926, but the worldwide Great Depression brought a return of suffering. Daily political violence added to the turmoil. Well, deporting people who are not immigrants, who are not gang related, who U.S. born citizen and being deported to El Salvador, that may stir up. And he's just hoping and hoping and hoping that all these demonstrations that are going on against him, in fact, he's encouraging them now, he's all in favor of them, is because if they turn violent, he can sic the U.S. military on them. An act of martial law, which he's trying to implement down on the southern border. Something for you to think about. Due to the political collapse of the government by Hitler, they exploited the situation, he and his brown shirts, by claiming that Germany's World War I loss was caused by leftist politicians and Jews who sold out the country. Kind of reminds you of what the current administration is doing with the judges who are getting in his way. The Supreme Court, who refuses to acknowledge, has a higher authority than he does. In Hitler's first speech as chancellor on February 10th, 1933, he said, quote, "Just as this Nazi movement today has been given the responsibility of the leadership of the German Reich, so shall we one day lead this German Reich back to life and to greatness." I believe it was 1,000 years, folks. Didn't last 1,000 years, now did it? Devastating conditions have descended upon our Volk, he continued. For 14 years, the parties of disintegration have seduced and abused the German Volk. No, we had a good economy until you came into power, actually. Infiltration and dissolution. None of that happened. This stab in the back lie was the subject of a 1925 Munich court case that pitted a socialist newspaper, the Munich Post, against the conservative South Germany monthly magazine, whose editor, Paul Kosman, published 2 booklets that vigorously promoted the stab in the back myth, and the good guy lost. Why? Well, we all know they were bought off, or they were afraid for their lives, which is what's going on now. The Republicans are afraid to say anything, and there's only the few and the far and the between who's saying anything at all. As the extreme right passions got worse, the stab in the back legend lived on. Hitler repeatedly used it during his rallies, and once he was in power, he used it as a rhetorical weapon. And he literally tried to erase evidence of Germany's World War I humiliation. Well, that's what's happening right now with the current administration. Burn and ban books. Get rid of anything that has to do with women, African Americans, and the Latinos. And let's not forget the indigenous Indians who helped us win World War II with the Navajo language. Germans never heard of them before, and so could not use their code or break it. Just think about it. In 1940, Hitler ordered the military to destroy World War I memorials and occupy Belgium and France. Is that like the current administration going after the memorials to women, African Americans, reestablishing Confederate generals who fought to keep slavery? Well, I got to tell you, he wants to enslave children all over again, to take the work of the migrant people who they've conveniently gotten rid of. The transcript of our administration's second inaugural address on January 20th reads like a stab in the back manifesto. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens. He should talk. He and all his billionaire friends have their money in offshore accounts. are over in Europe. They won't keep their money in the United States because they can't make money on money. So he's a hypocrite. Has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. Not until he showed up and swore into office. This is the gentleman who wants to make America religious again, but he won't put his hand on the Bible when he was sworn into office. What's wrong with that picture, huh? In an executive order issued on March 27th and bearing the title Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, the current administration made it clear that he sees himself as the ultimate judge of how America's story can be told. He set his crosshairs on one of the country's most cherished repositories of history, the Smithsonian Institute. He fumed, has promoted narratives that portray American and Western values as inherently harmful and oppressive. Guess what? They are. Face the music. Buck up, Buttercup. You're trying to make this country into an all-white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired country. It doesn't work that way. The Latinos and the African Americans have put the minority folks, those are the white people, on the bottom rung, and you can't stand it because these people are just as smart, if not smarter, than we are. Shame on you. Then the current administration put his lesser equal in charge of seeking to remove improper ideology from the Smithsonian and its affiliated facilities, working with Congress to block funding for programs that degrade shared Americans' values. Whose American values? White, blue-eyed blondes? Excuse me, I'm getting passionate again. I'll have to calm down. Take a deep breath. Okay, better. Sorry about that. I get carried away when I see injustice done and then perverted. And taking other steps to bring the museum into line with his current administration ideology. Monuments, statues, and memorials under the Interior Department's jurisdiction, this current administration decreed shall not disparage Americans past or living, including persons living in colonial times, and instead focus on the greatness of the achievements and progress of the American people. Maybe you want to give back the Statue of Liberty while you're at it. Compare these words with those of Hitler in his first speech as Chancellor. Quote, "We desire to bestow once more upon the Volk a genuinely German culture with German art, German architecture, and German music, and to evoke deep reverence for the accomplishments of the past, a humble admiration for the great men of German history." Well, since the United States of America is a mixed culture, there is not one word in our language that's truly American. Not one word. Nearly 400 books on the Holocaust, civil rights, racism, and feminism were removed from the U.S. Navy. I know why. The Caged Bird Sings, Maya Angelou's bestseller memoir, is out. Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler stays. Book purchases are also in the works at the U.S. Air Force Academy and at West Point. Shame on you. You must be a very small man. That's probably why I never see you. We're less than 3 months into this current administration's second term. And there'll be more lies, more scapegoating, more assault on law firms, on higher education, the free press, and the rule of law, citizens' rights, and on historic facts. What kind of America will we be living in 4 years from now? Have we already descended into a form of authoritarianism, or at least its pupil stages? Look up the word pupil, P-U-P-A-L. Google will let you know. There are some signs of hope. Some law firms and universities are fighting back against him to coerce them into bending to his will. Citizens are mobilizing, legions to the streets. He's just hoping that he can sick the U.S. troops against them. Courts have been ruling against his atheism, and as appeals play out in rulings against him, he keeps using his authoritative jackhammer against the foundation of American democracy. This article was written by Terence Petty, who is the author of Nazis at the Water Cooler, War Criminals in Post-War German Government Agencies, and Enemy of the People, the Munich Post, and the journalist who opposed Hitler. Footnote: the views and opinions expressed in this article are the author's own and do not necessarily reflect those of the forward. Discover more perspectives and opinion. To contact opinion authors, email opinion, OPINIO1, at forward, FORWARD.com. Thank you very much for listening to Lest We Forget Historical with Lillian and the Nazi legend and the U.S. president. You can see and hear this all over again at passionatworldtalkradio.com/blog and next Friday, and also passionatworldtalkradio.com. Scroll down to State of Current Affairs, click on it. It will take you to a web page and a Google link. Click on the link and it'll take you inside the belly of the YouTube beast to watch this video and all other videos we have produced. This show is sponsored by two companies, Conscious Research Solutions. Go check us out at passionatworldtalkradio.com/research made simple blog and sign up for a free 15-minute consult with one of our research assistants. The second company is Ruby.ai, AI with Lillian.com. It'll take you to a website where you can read testimonials about the AI app software. Also give you a demonstration. It's in there. And sign up for a monthly subscription. It will be the best investment that the tariffs cannot reach. And if you want more hard-hitting stories, interviews, opinions, and comments, please consider donating to us at passionatworldtalkradio.com/donations for an all-woman-owned and operational internet talk radio station. Thank you very much for listening and have an awesome weekend.